The card is in the drawer next to my bed. It is yellowing. The handwriting is not mine. It says, in blue ink, estimated transition to assisted living, 24 to 36 months. The doctor who wrote that card is dead. The man who handed it to me in his office in March of 1996 retired in 2003 and died of a heart attack 4 years later. He was younger than I am now. I'm 94 years old. I live alone in the house my husband and I bought in 1957. I have not, in 19 years, slept anywhere else for a single night. I want to tell you exactly what was on that card, exactly what I did the morning after I received it, and exactly why I am sitting here in my own kitchen telling you this story. He was a kind man. I want to be fair about that. He was a cardiologist of the old school, and he had been seeing me for 12 years. In March of 1996, after a long appointment, in which he had reviewed my echocardiogram and a recent set of blood work, he sat down across from me and said, "Beatrice, I want to be honest with you about what I'm seeing. I had lost my husband 10 months earlier. I had been having a hard winter. I had not been eating well. I had stopped going to my Tuesday bridge group. The blood work reflected all of it." He told me he believed I would not be able to live alone for more than another 2 or 3 years. He told me he was going to recommend that my children begin looking at facilities. He took out a small index card from his desk drawer, and he wrote, in his own handwriting, the estimate. He slid it across the desk to me. He said, "I want you to have this so we can be honest about the timeline." I drove home. I did not cry. I sat at this kitchen table until it got dark, and I thought about my husband, and I thought about the card, and I thought about a woman I had known briefly in 1972 who had volunteered at my own children's elementary school as a foster grandmother, and who had told me once in passing that those children had given her back her life after her own husband died. I had not seen her in 24 years. I did not know if she was still alive. The next morning, I called the school district where I had raised my children. I asked them if they still had a foster grandparent program. They said they did. I asked them how I could sign up. I was 75 years old. I weighed 119 pounds. I had been told the day before by a doctor I trusted that I would be in assisted living within 3 years. And I called a school district to volunteer to spend 3 mornings a week with first graders. I want to tell you what happened next, because I do not think the doctor was wrong about my body. I think the doctor was right about my body. I think he was wrong about what my body would do if I gave it somewhere to go 3 mornings a week. I started in September of 1996 at an elementary school 6 miles from this house. I was assigned to a first grade classroom of 23 children and to a teacher named Miss Rivers, who is now retired and lives in Arizona and who still calls me on my birthday. I went on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday mornings. I helped children practice reading. I sat in a small chair next to a small desk, and a 6-year-old whose own grandmother lived in another country would read me a sentence, and I would help her sound out the words she got stuck on, and I would tell her she was doing a beautiful job. I did this for 19 years. Let me tell you what changed in the first year, because I want you to understand the mechanism. Within 3 months, I had gained back 4 pounds. I had not been trying to. I had simply started eating breakfast again because I had to be at the school by 8:15, and you cannot help a child read on an empty stomach. Within 6 months, my walking speed had returned. The walk from the parking lot to the classroom was 1/4 of a mile. I did it 3 times a week. I had not, in the year before that, walked 1/4 of a mile in any single direction. Within 9 months, I had started sleeping through the night again. I have thought about this often. I think it is because for the first time since my husband died, I had a reason to wake up. That was someone else's reason. The children were waiting. I could not stay in bed. Within a year, I went back to the cardiologist for my annual checkup. He looked at my numbers for a long time without speaking. Then he said, "Beatrice, I have to ask you what you have been doing." I told him. He sat back in his chair. He said, "I would not have prescribed that." I said, "I know. That's why I had to think of it myself." He saw me for 7 more years before he retired. He never wrote me another card. I want to be specific about what those mornings did and why I think they kept me out of assisted living for 19 years and counting, because none of it is what the cardiologist would have predicted. The first thing they did is they got me dressed. There is no version of helping a 6-year-old read in which you are wearing a robe. I had to wash my hair on Monday night. I had to find clean clothes. I had to put on shoes. The architecture of being a person, which I had been losing in the months after my husband's death, had to come back. The children required it. The second thing they did is they put me in a room with people, 23 of them plus Miss Rivers, 3 mornings a week for 9 months a year, for 19 years. I have spent more time with first graders now than I spent with my own children. The volume of small voices in a small room is, I am convinced, the most underrated medicine for a widow in her 70s. The third thing they did is they made me useful. This is the one the doctor would never have understood. He thought my body needed rest. My body did not need rest. My body needed somewhere to go, where someone needed it. The body of a woman who is needed 3 mornings a week is a different body on a cellular level from the body of a woman who is needed nowhere. I retired from the program at 94 3 months ago. Miss Rivers has been retired for years. The children I read with in 1996 are 41 years old this year. I have a card from one of them on my refrigerator. He is a high school principal in another state. He wrote last Christmas, "You taught me to read the word because. I have used it every day of my life." The cardiologist's index card is in my drawer. The principal's letter is on my refrigerator. I look at both of them every morning. If you take anything from what I have told you, take this. When someone tells you, with authority and good intentions, that your body is going to require you to disappear, ask yourself if your body is really the problem, or if your body is missing somewhere to go. Find somewhere to go. The smaller the people who are waiting for you, the better. That is what the doctor did not write on the card. That is what saved me. I'll see you in the next one.